Now that you already have the knowledge on how to generate your traffic to your profile, do you know that finding a freelancer to work with you is something to learn too? As you know, there are loads of freelancers out there who are willing to work, but are they all qualified for you? This is an important question to ask because you don't want to hire them without knowing them. The quality of your freelancer is equal to the quality of your product at the end of the day. So, how can you approach your freelance to work for you with quality assured? Let's get started. Nowadays, people can't live without the internet and their social media account. They will keep browsing and scrolling through to kill time. As I've mentioned in the previous section, social media is a good engine for you to gain traffic as well as for you to recruit. For people who are more and more internet-oriented, it is easier for you to get what you want. You could filter your friends list according to your recruitment needs. Use filter software like Manage Filter to speed up your findings so you could double up your work. Also, there are groups and pages for freelance jobs on Facebook. Join them to see if there's any talent who matches your need, or you could post your need in the group to recruit your potential freelancers. In case you're not an active person on social media, there is another way to find potential freelancers, using freelancer websites. There are several sites for you to choose from. Examples are Agent Solo, All Freelance Work, and Upwork. You can filter them accordingly with your location, fields, and patterns. Find websites with responsive admins and freelancers. This is because if you encounter any problems, you will at least know who to turn to. Before you go into the website, make sure you understand their terms, policies, and conditions, especially on credit transferring and refunding issues. Establish a clear communication with the support and read their website policies before you start to use their freelancers. Now you have a picture on how to recruit your talents. It's time to determine your strategies on how to ensure your freelancer's quality. Allow me to ask you a few questions. If you're a buyer, how would you go about choosing a freelancer to work for you? What kind of products would you expect from your talent that you have hired? If you make a bad choice, it will affect the balance between you and your buyer, which creates bad feelings. I'm sure you know where bad feelings can lead your business to. Thus, to avoid all these from happening, you will need a good plan and some strategies before you get into the recruitment business. First, recruit wisely. You need to know who you are working with. Get to know your freelancer from their profile and description. If there is no description, try to look for their contact. Message them directly to ask for their background and experience, or try searching for their social media accounts. Did you know that you can see a person's character from their social media behavior? It is even better if the person shares their work in public on social media. You can then preview their job for free. For example, you chance upon a photographer who shares his work publicly on his Instagram account. You can direct message him from your Instagram if you're interested in his work. Just like your buyers choose you for your good reviews, you choose your talent with good reviews too. As I said earlier, who doesn't want to work with the better person? Collect all their profiles and reviews. You can narrow them down to 5 or 10 according to your business and how much you can manage. This is something that you can't rush through, so take it one step at a time. Read and determine their abilities carefully before you finally hire them. Furthermore, revising the work done is essential to you. Remember, you need to make sure the quality matches your buyer's expectation and also your own reputation. Otherwise, buyers may doubt your ability and also the reviews you get. This is why the talent you hire plays an important role in keeping you as a successful broker. You need to be strict on the quality. Despite telling your talent what it is your buyer needs, I would suggest you to revise the work done before delivering it to your buyer. It is always good to double and triple check to assure the quality and correct any mistakes. Since they have already done most of the work for you, there is nothing to lose in spending some time to double check their work. Also, by revising the work done, you're able to have a deeper understanding on which freelancer is worth to work with, and you may even consider a long-term buyer-seller relationship. In order to have time to revise their job, you will need to speed up the exchange. It is not just about the issue on checking, but also to avoid delayed deliveries to your own buyer. For example, you promise your buyer a 7-day period to complete your job, so you have to request a 5-day job done from your talent. Give yourself at least 2 days to review the job if you have a couple of businesses going on. Schedule yourself to check on the working process from time to time so that you can give some advice if the working process is slow, or if your talent meets some problems which he's not able to resolve himself. Do not hesitate to help your talent. A little help from you may mean a lot to them. It is not just about saving you from the hassle of late deliveries, but also to build up your reputation amongst them to earn their loyalty. Relying on freelancers and other third parties is a must when brokering in Fiverr. There are many issues which can arise from this. For instance, how can you determine that the person on the other end of the computer is honest in his or her dealings? There's no way to be 100% sure that everything will go smoothly because you will never know who the person is on the other end. Hence, the process of screening and filtering freelancers is unavoidable for a broker. It may be a time-consuming procedure, but once you get the connection with the freelancers, you can resume working with them if they have proven to provide quality service and work. Here are a few methods that will help keep you at ease. You're going to go through a series of filters before you decide to contact them. Without further ado, let's move on to the first level. First and foremost, you must pick the right place to post your offer. Use established marketplaces on the internet. The difference between non-established and established marketplaces is that established ones will keep only good quality freelancers. There is already a large pool of freelancers available in these established marketplaces. The following are a list of established marketplaces where you can find quality freelancers: Agent Solo, All Freelance Work, and Upwork. Many potential candidates will send you the link to their profile once you get your job posted. Read through the feedback they've gotten. Even though such information may not be able to show you exactly how reliable they are, but it does ease your work if you are hiring the freelancer for the first time. Filter the candidates by their ratings. After you've posted the job in the marketplace, you'll get a bunch of responses from freelancers hoping to get the job. Contacting them one by one would be time-consuming. To solve this problem, filter them according to their ratings. This would also help you to decrease the number of candidates. In general, there are two types of rating systems, which are the 10-point rating system and the 5-star rating system. If the marketplace that you use is using the 10-point rating system, make sure the freelancers have at least 8 points and above. If they're using the 5-star rating system, look for freelancers with at least 4 stars and above. The rating system runs this way. When their services are satisfying, their buyers will leave them positive ratings, which contributes to their overall rating. Thus, the higher the rating, the better the service they manage to provide. In this level, filter them out according to their ratings, then move on to the next step. The next method would be reading through the feedback and reviews in the profile. If you can, try to look for their profile on other platforms like Facebook. From their profiles, you can evaluate them better. From these networks alone, you may not be able to get in-depth details of their work habits, but you will be able to know their general online behavior through the content they share online. It would be a good reference for you to understand the freelancers better. However, if you're not up to looking up for their profile on other platforms, you can go to their profile in the marketplace. When you are on their profile page, scroll down to look for reviews and feedback from their former buyers. Read the reviews and feedback in their profile. It is acceptable to have a few negative reviews or feedback because there are always difficult clients that have requirements which are nearly impossible to fulfill. However, read through the comments and take note of it. Here's a side note for you. Like I mentioned, it is acceptable to have a few negative feedback, but make sure that there is at least 90% of positive feedback from the buyers. By this stage, you should be left with just a few candidates that you would like to start a conversation with. The rest can be the backup. Start a conversation with each of them, as you can evaluate their character throughout the conversation. First things first, you can evaluate them by how they reply to your request. For instance, you can assess someone in terms of how long they take to respond to your request. This way, you will know how fast they will get back to you when you contact them in the future. From the way they respond to your request, you will get to evaluate their professional working attitude in handling the work you pass to them. If needed, you may get their email address in case of any emergencies. In some instances, the marketplace server may be down or hacked. If so, you will have a second method to communicate with them. Finally, ask for their portfolio as a reference to evaluate their work. This can be said to be an essential part. Evaluating the portfolio would be the final factor that you will need to walk through before agreeing to use their work and offering them the job. You should not accept their service before getting to see their past work. Regardless of anything else, the capability to provide quality work is the utmost important factor that you must put priority on when it comes to screening for freelancers. Whether they can perform well or not is not depending on the way they speak, but on their actions. Therefore, other than evaluating the way they handle work, you will need to evaluate the work from them. This is to ensure that you can provide the best service to your clients as well. Let's assume you are a broker on Fiverr. Other than screening and filtering freelancers, pricing your offer to the freelancer is always a complicated issue, especially when you are new to the system. To set a price of your job offer from the earnings on Fiverr would be a big question mark for some. There is no 100% guarantee that you'll get a perfect freelancer all the time, so dealing with a difficult freelancer is unavoidable sometimes. As you may already know, negotiating with difficult freelancers is not an easy task and requires certain techniques. You need to think in terms of how a freelancer would think when you're setting up the prices for them, such as factors that will affect whether they will take up the offer or not. The cost plus factor comes first. When you can offer a price that is worth more than what they will need to do, it makes an irresistible offer to grab. The market price is the next factor. You must not offer a price that is too different from the market price. You may not know how to start researching on the market price if you have just begun. Here's what you can do. Visit all the other marketplaces, search for keywords, and mark down the prices offered by the other sellers. For instance, if you're looking for a graphic designer to draw a logo for you, look for the keyword logo design in the marketplace. From here, you can see how much people usually offer to the freelancers. Moving on, the third factor is value driven. This is once again a factor that is related to the first factor, the cost plus factor. Regardless whether you are a buyer or seller, people always look for the value. What's in it for me is the first question that will pop up in our minds. As a seller, you must be able to show them the value. Cost plus factor plays a vital role in the brokering system. When a gig is not profitable, freelancers are more than likely to turn down the offer. They accept gigs based on the offers that can earn more than what they will need to do. This includes the time that will be needed to invest, and whether the time they invest to work on your job is worth the price or not. If they could have worked for another gig with the same amount of time but with a higher pay, they will definitely go for the second offer. To calculate the cost plus for a gig is relatively easy. All you will need is the unit cost and the desired profit margin. For instance, if the wages for a workday is $15, to finish the whole project will need at least 1 week. Hence, the unit cost will be 30 times 7, which equals to $105. So, if the gig doesn't offer more than $105, freelancers are more likely to put your gig offer as their last option. Leveraging market rates is solely based on the marketplaces in which you are offering your gig, where you look at the marketplaces and the prices of other gigs to identify what costs others are offering and make decisions based on that. You can do some research on the other gig prices offered by other sellers in the marketplace, especially about the gigs in the same field. Once you have the information needed, set a price that does not run too far away from the margin. It can be slightly higher or lower than the others. Try to find a balance between that which can satisfy both your financial budget and the cost plus of the freelancers. It is not an easy task to set the price to be win-win all the time, but always remember to refer to the market price. The market prices in comparison to international freelancers may vary. That said, if you're using international marketplaces, you will need to understand the local and international market. Last but not least, freelancers are value-driven. Like I've said, this is a factor that goes together with the cost plus factor. People will always look for a gig that can profit them. Even if they have decided to take up the offer that does not profit them, they will work equivalent to the price you've offered. That said, the lower the price, the lower the quality of work they will deliver to you. Thus, always ask for further information from freelancers. For instance, a standard voiceover costs $100. But if you want it to be synced with a video, it'll be another $50. You can ask the freelancers to send you a custom offer with all the gigs listed out with prices, like how Fiverr is doing now. This way, you will know what you've paid for, as well as collect references for future use. Be prepared to negotiate with freelancers. They may be difficult sometimes, but you, as a seller, must stand firm on your point of view as well. If the price they ask for is not favorable as well as unprofitable, do not be afraid to turn down the offer from the freelancer. The price structures can work three ways, which are calculated by hourly rates, daily, monthly rates, and project-based rates. Hourly rates and daily or monthly rates are usually for sellers who like to hire for long term. If you are not keen on running around looking for freelancers every single time you receive orders from your clients, you can look for someone who is willing to work long term. There are, of course, also cons if you're hiring them for long term. You will never get to know the person that works from you. That being said, you will not know what happens if he or she is missing in action. In case of emergency, you wouldn't know how to contact them other than through emails. The ideal price structure will be project-based, which you'll pay them once per project. This way, you do not need to worry about the issue of commitment. You can always go back to the same freelancers if you find the job they completed has achieved most of the positive feedback from your clients. Here are some tips for you when you're drafting the price of your gig for freelancers. First of all, you need to know the minimum acceptable rate of the freelancers and not offer a gig lower than that. And then, as a broker on Fiverr, you should pay your freelancers from the earnings you receive from the client. Calculate your own profits in between after you pay the freelancer. If the return on investment is low, discard the request. When the ROI is low or even negative, it's said that the job isn't profitable. After you have gotten everything on track and start to deal with diverse clients and freelancers, this is the time where you may feel challenged. Even though this means you actually own a great business and you're doing things right, you still need to be prepared for whatever future you are heading to. The more people you cope with, the more difficulties are faced. There are many different types of personalities that you'll encounter, and you will need to make yourself flexible enough to bear with them. Managing your freelancers is not an easy task, especially when dealing with those difficult ones. Do not ever underestimate this. I will share with you the issues you may face and the solutions to these problems. It is essential to determine how your freelancer works. There are a lot of what-ifs to be foreseen. For example, what if he or she is a draggy person? What if they take it slow and complete their work at the very last minute? This is why scheduling is helpful for the work to be done. You need to set up a strict time phase or deadline for your freelancers and let them know that you're very precise about time. You can even contact them a day before the deadline just to check in on their progress. Write an email or message them. It is even better if they are okay with a local phone call. If your freelancers are not based locally, an email and a message would be good. Remember, a little rushing won't hurt, but you will need to take note of your tone in both writing and talking. Rushing is not threatening. It is your right to rush, but threatening people will only scare them off and set a bad reputation for yourself. Furthermore, there is a situation where your freelancer is not satisfied with the amount of money you pay. Trust me, it happens. So in this case, what should you do? First, establish a friendly negotiation. You do not want to push yourself to a dead end by insisting on your initial pay. Try to bargain with them and work things out together. If you feel uncertain on giving extra pay to people you don't know well, you can promise a bonus if they are able to finish their work on time with splendid quality. In this situation, no one loses. Of course, you can always call off a deal if you are not comfortable or if you think your freelancer is asking too much from you. Settle for a mutual cancellation and find another freelancer who's willing to work for you with your pay. If the majority of your freelancers raise up the payment issue, then it is time for you to readjust the pay you offer. Try not to think of how much you have to lose, but of the loyalty that you've earned. If a little increase in pay gets you loyal freelancers, don't you think it's a good way to go? All right, enough on difficult freelancers. Did you know some barriers can only be resolved by yourself? This kind of barrier is far more difficult to deal with because you are struggling with your own will. There will be the time when you need to let go of something in order to achieve your success. Let's get you prepared. Your biggest challenge will be time management. This happens when you have too much traffic at the same time. Great business comes with a price, and time will be your price. This is where you will need to be flexible and keep your mind clear. Communicate with your buyers and also outsource your work systematically to your freelancers. The important thing is not to be frightened by the jam. It is actually a good sign, but you will need to have a clear head to handle this. Also, do not be afraid to say no to your buyers if you really can't afford the traffic. Being honest to your buyer is better than messing up your business. Buyers will not leave any bad comments or reviews if you talk to them nicely and politely. They'll understand. It is good if you're able to handle your traffic accordingly, but this may be the time where your daily life and working life gets messed up. You may be unable to separate yourself into several parts for your work, family, or friends. You may even have no time for yourself. Here's a point to note. A successful person works with quality. If you know your business is great, on track, and doing well, you may choose buyers with the higher price offered. With all the good reviews and 5-star ratings, it is not that hard to get the deal. You can slow down your business by accepting higher paid jobs and outsourcing them to your freelancers. Thus, you can spare yourself some time to have a good meal and quality time with your friends and family. Remember, successful people do not work like a dog. They work smart.